All right. Hey guys, a few weeks out from the AP exam. Remember that is coming up quick, May 19th. The week before that will probably be even quicker because some of you guys have AP exams going on. So as we enter the home stretch, let's make sure we're knocking out in the notes. We're watching the review videos, the assignments I send out. Make sure you're doing those, not waiting to the last minute. This is Tuesday morning. And in my email, I think I have McKenna's and Allie's, and I'm not sure if I have anyone else's. So just make sure we're taking the time to do those, to do them the right way, to where we are going to retain the info, and we're taking this seriously. Okay, so the last video I sent out was operant conditioning, and that will take us right into some more of the learning and memory, unit. And as we start here, we're gonna talk about how do we create memories and different kind of memories, and then we'll progress from there into why we forget and how we forget. Okay, so for memory, kind of three stages here. You have encoding, you have storage, and retrieval. So encoding, everything you are hearing, everything you are seeing, you have to process that info. So again, the sensations, perceptions, you encode those into your memory, right? And then you should store those. Now, not everything is properly encoded, and we'll get to that later, but if it is properly encoded, it is stored, right? And as you are storing it, you are retaining it, you are keeping it, you have placed it in the memory bank, and hopefully you will be able to retrieve those memories out of storage. Okay, so once it's been encoded, it's been stored, it comes to retrieving. Retrieving is just the act of bringing those memories out, right? Digging into the memory, bringing those out, and using those. So you obtain those memories, and then you share them, or you think about them, whatever it is. But once you have obtained them, you use them in one fashion or another. Okay, so as far as encoding goes, with the processing, so again, you're hearing stuff, you're seeing stuff, you're doing stuff. To make that memory, you have to process it, right? And you have two different kinds: effortful and automatic. Just like it sounds, effortful requires your attention. It requires your focus. Okay, so you can think about pretty much anything you learn in school, you really need to pay attention to, right? So as you guys are going through calculus or physics or chemistry, whatever it might be, that requires your attention. It's not natural information, right? It's not muscle memory or anything like that. It requires you to focus, and it probably requires you to rehearse and to study and to create mnemonic devices and whatever it might be. But it requires a lot of your effort in order to process that new information. The other one would be automatic. Again, this is more like muscle memory. At this point in time, as you guys, whatever, you learn to play dodgeball, or you learn to play, learn to run, or whatever it might be. It doesn't require you to sit there and think, okay, I should pick up the ball, and then I should take 2 steps back, and then I should throw it at the person. No, it just happens, right? It's very automatic. It's unconscious processing, remembering to breathe. It happens naturally, requires little attention. They are implicit memories. It's going to happen very, very quickly. As you are taking notes, you are not actively, thinking about what you are writing, R and then an E and then an A. No, it's happening very quickly, right? Same thing with reading. You are not processing every single letter because it's automatic. It's really, really, you're not consciously. It's almost unconscious. Again, you go back to like the Cambridge study that has every single word misspelled. Again, you are automatically processing that. It's just very quick. It's very natural. It requires little effort. Selective attention, processing one stimuli, you select. A lot of stuff is happening, right? You're hearing different TV, music, phone, this video, birds outside your window, whatever it might be. A lot of stuff's going on, and selective attention means you pay attention to one of those while blocking out the others. Okay, so you will select, you will choose what you deem most important. Now, it's subjective. It is all up to you. I would think this video at this point in time is the most important stimuli, that is around you. But for some of you, it might be the phone. For some of you, it might be the TV show you're also watching, right? Requires less automatic processing. Okay, so selective attention requires less automatic because you are paying attention, because it's a little bit more effortful. Okay, Some things that are, and I'll put these on the slide. So some things that are tied to it would be the cocktail party effect. You are paying attention to someone at a party, right? You are having a conversation with them. Maybe it's a group of people. You have your small circle. You are paying attention to them. There's music playing. There's people coming in and out of the room. There's other people being loud, but you are paying attention. You are trying to focus in that one conversation you're having with that one person or that group. But across the room, if you hear your name, even though you're paying attention, trying to selectively pay attention to the conversation, you still hear your name being called from somewhere else, right? Inattentional blindness, same kind of thing. When we are not paying attention to, well, you can't pay attention to all the stimuli. And when you can't pay attention to all the stimuli, that stimuli taking place that is not as important to you, it's almost like it didn't happen, right? Because you are not processing that. That's inattentional blindness. Divided attention, able to automatically process multiple stimuli at once. This is typically going to be more automatic, right? So it's stuff that does not require that much effort, stuff that does not require that much focus, okay? So some examples I wrote down would be driving and hearing someone honk their horn, or driving and hearing the person next to you, in the passenger seat talking to you. Playing catch and talking, right? So some guys play softball or baseball, as you're warming up and you're playing catch, maybe soccer, you're passing with a partner just to get warmed up. You can do both at the same time, right? That doesn't mean you're excelling at both, but you have divided attention. You are paying attention to the ball coming at you, and you are also paying attention to the conversation you're having. Seeing both on defense. So you basketball players, divided attention, you're able to see your girl, you're able to see the ball as well. Now it's divided, so you're not excelling at both. Will you lose the ball at some point? Probably, right? Will you lose your own girl at some point? Probably, right? So if you are dividing attention, sometimes, there's a likelihood of, some kind of error. Driving and singing along, right? So again, as you're driving, you're paying attention to the road, but you're also able to sing along with Cardi B, whatever you're listening to. Metacognition, that is thinking about one's own thinking. Sometimes this happens. Sometimes it's very, very higher order thinking, right? So as you get a test back and maybe you had a wrong answer on the test, and you go up to the teacher and you explain to the teacher what you were thinking and why you chose the wrong answer, and you're kind of rationalizing that. That's metacognition. You were thinking about what you were thinking about, and you're trying to rationalize it. You're trying to explain it. It's also metacognition be tip of the tongue, right? So when I, sometimes if I ask you guys a question in class, and whether it's trivial or something important, you guys have it on the tip of your tongue. You can't quite think of the answer. You have the answer. I can't think of it. What is it? It's on the tip of my tongue. That is thinking about your own thinking, right? So metacognition. Okay, encoding, 3 types. You got visual, you got acoustic, and you have semantic. Visual, it's what you see, right? And that's typically shallow. That's typically not really deep information. That's really easy sensations that you're taking in. Acoustic, that is more intermediate. What you're hearing and also kind of what you're talking about. That's going to be acoustic. That's in the middle of process. And semantic. Semantic is deep. Semantic basically just means understanding the meaning, right? So semantic, that is deep encoding, right? If you have semantic encoding, you are probably going to retain that information for a long time, right? What you see, might be gone in a flash, right? So that's why it's kind of shallow. So visual encoding, shallow. Memory is based on an appearance. Memory is based on a mental picture you might have, but it might disappear very quickly. Acoustic encoding, intermediate. That's kind of a sequence of sounds, what you've heard, and even what you are saying. So maybe you are repeating what you heard. And semantic, that is the deepest. That emphasizes the meaning, that the meaning of something, that you have made connections that allows you to understand the meaning, or that you understand a significance of an event, for example. Okay. Rehearsal, methods to enhance, develop encoding, right? So rehearsal, that's studying, that's note cards, that's Quizlets, that is all these simple things, relatively simple things that help us encode, help us process information to try to get into our memory. Maintenance, rehearsal, that's going to be intermediate, repetition without meaning. Okay. So repeating a phone number, right? If someone gives you a phone number, you repeat that a few different times, boom. And maybe it's just um, you have to call somebody, right? Or you have to remember to add someone's phone into or someone's number into your phone. And so you repeat it a couple of times just so you can get it into your phone or just so you can dial it. And then you don't remember it after that, right? So that's why it's kind of intermediate. Maybe repeating a to-do list. So as you get in the car to go to the grocery store, you don't have a list, but you're like, all right, I got to get eggs. I got to get milk. I got to get peanut butter. Eggs, milk, peanut butter. You get to the grocery store. Hopefully you remember that. But the next day, 2 days later, you might not have that in your memory anymore. Elaborative rehearsal, just what it sounds like. That's deep processing. That is making associations. That is applying stuff. So anytime you've ever had to make maybe your own review guide or your own practice test or whatever, right? That is probably going to make deep meanings. You're making associations. You are applying knowledge you have previously learned. So, rephrasing, different definitions, for example, making mnemonic devices, creating applications. So again, how can you really just kind of inundate yourself with material you're trying to learn? All right, flip the page here. Encoding failure. So different reasons why we might not encode correctly. Some of that is going to be motivation. You didn't deem it very important, right? So if it's not important enough in your opinion, if it's not important enough, then you won't process that. You won't really encode it, okay? Lack of attention. Again, you have the ability right now to encode all this information being thrown at you. But if you stop and you get on your phone, you get some kind of alert and it takes your attention away, you start paying attention to more what's on Netflix and what's on the video, then you won't encode that information. Shallow processing. So again, you didn't rehearse it. You didn't make note cards. You didn't rephrase it or repeat it, you might not encode it. And task shifting, again, that's kind of dividing your attention, going back from one task to another. Each time you do that, you take attention away from the other. Okay, storage. Real quick with storage. Sensory, short-term, and long-term. Sensory is going to be the briefest. You're talking just a couple seconds, and then boom, it's gone. So very brief recording based on senses. A lot of this is going to be mostly unconscious, okay? There's a couple different kinds. Iconic. So that is brief and maybe unintentional. Maybe things you kind of just glance at as you're on a neighborhood walk, okay? Or maybe you walk into a room from another room and you briefly glance at a picture, or you see a bird take off from a branch through the window. You see a crumb on the floor, whatever it might be, okay? Just very, very brief, unintentional, and probably not anything you really pay attention to. Echoic, like echo, I see, echoic, just a few seconds. Typically something you hear, again, probably not significant. So maybe you're walking down the hallway and you hear people having conversations, but because you're not a part of it, because it's not your friends, you're not really paying attention to it. Maybe your teacher having a conversation with the table next to yours, you can hear what's going on. But again, it's not something you're retaining. It's not something you're really storing. Short term, okay, so again, limited, up to 12 to 15 seconds. This is going to be both visual and auditory, so what you see and what you hear. I kind of, when I do this in class, I kind of talk about maybe like going through Instagram or going through Twitter, like stuff you see on your timeline or your feed. You see it, you process it, but you don't really store it for more than just a few seconds, okay? So it could be repeating a password before you enter it. You repeat a password a few different times, you enter it, and then a couple hours later, you don't remember it because you just stored it on the computer, okay? It could be the same with a phone number. It could be something, you drive into, I don't know, a Taco Gringo, and they ask you what sauces you want on your taco. And you have them say all the sauces, right? And you kind of think about it for a few seconds. Oh yeah, the salsa verde sounds good. But then after you say that, you don't remember all these other sauces they had read off to you. Something that helps with short term is going to be chunking, where you organize a whole bunch of items into similar lists. That kind of helps you manage it. So again, if you had to remember, different fruits, right? You might organize them by colors, right? Or you might organize them by sweet. I guess most fruits probably sweet. But chunking, you organize stuff together. That's going to help you kind of, just associations that allow you to bring out of storage a little easier. Long-term, unlimited capacity, mostly permanent. And this is going to be both implicit and explicit. We'll get into those. So implicit basically means automatic. Okay, so it's going to be muscle memory. It's going to be procedural. It's going to be conditioned responses, right? So again, Pavlov's dog salivating at the sound of that bell, right? Little Albert crying at the sight of this white rat. The rats pulling the lever when they get into Skinner's box. Those are very automatic for them because they had been conditioned. They don't really think about these responses. They don't really try to pull them out of their long-term memory because they're so stable. They're so deep. Procedural, again, that is basically muscle memory, skills and habits, right? So once you learn to ride a bike, right? It's like riding a bike, you never forget, okay? For a lot of us, throwing something, okay, kicking something, jogging, chewing gum, if you're able to, chopsticks, using chopsticks, right? So skills, very physical things you have developed, and through so many repetitions, you don't forget, okay? That stuff is in your cerebellum. It is deep. It is stored. Priming, that is anything you do to activate particular associations. So again, if I wanted to say, Riser, what is your favorite fruit, right? Or if I wanted Riser to name a fruit, sorry, I just want her to name a fruit. But I want to see if I can get her to say banana. I might first ask her, what sound does a monkey make? Right now she's thinking about monkeys. Then I might ask her what she thinks the most common color of a taxi is. Boom, she's saying yellow. Then I might ask her, what Coach Weber's oldest daughter's name is, and she might say Anna. Or what is Macy's twins' name? And she might say Anna, okay? And then I say, hey, pick a fruit. And because I primed her with yellow and monkey and Anna, she's more likely to say banana, okay? Conditioned response, again, unconscious, memory from conditioned stimulus. We already kind of talked about that. Explicit, okay? So explicit is going to be less automatic, right? It's going to require more of your effort, more of your conscious retrieval of a memory. So explicit, you have semantic and episodic. Semantic refers to meaning. Again, we talked about that. So basically, any kind of long-term memory that is semantic is probably going to be like you trying to remember dates, you trying to remember famous events, you trying to remember trivia facts and stuff like that. So that refers to meaning. Again, it's going to be more like educational. It's going to be more studious. Whereas episodic is going to be more personal, right? Episodes of your life. So personal experiences, association from memories. Your 7th birthday. 20 years from now, remembering different experiences you had during this COVID-19. Quarantine. So it's going to be very personal. And the last thing here, retrospective memories and prospective memories. Retrospective, working memory of past events, things that have already happened, right? So can you remember that 7th birthday party? Can you remember Pythagorean theorem from 8th grade? Can you remember the quadratic formula? Stuff you have previously experienced or stuff you have been previously taught, right? Facts, concepts previously studied. Prospective memory is going to be remembering to do things in the future, right? Remembering that I have to pick my kids up from daycare. Remembering that you have to take the trash out tonight. Remembering things on the to-do list that you need to accomplish, right? So remembering to go to the grocery store and pick up, the milk, the eggs, the peanut butter. Please, please, please stay attached to Google Classroom, sending stuff out. More and more is going to be coming your way as we get closer and closer to the 19th. So please grit your teeth, bear down, and make sure we are preparing the way we should prepare for this AP exam. All right, see you guys.